Hey everybody, and welcome. The topic for today's video is a fairly interesting one, and that is how to create realistic renderings without using any software. You heard me right. Any software. We're not going to be using anything. So in order to be able to create a realistic render and to follow along with this video, all you will need is a browser. So let's get started and see how we do this. Now, the first thing I would actually like to note here is that this is not a sponsored video. So the reason why I'm showing you guys this is because I think it's a cool tool and you might actually like it. So, having said that, the first thing you want to do is you want to go over and type in Coohom.com. And once you type that thing in, this is where you're going to land. Now, they have a really interesting site. When you come over here, you can see some of their different options they have in here. But all you have to do is just create your account. It's a free account. They do have a premium service as well, but for now, we're just going to stick with the free version. So, once you create your account, which is, again, really fast, this is where you want to go to. You click on Start Your Design. And once you click this, it will take you a few seconds. It's going to load in the program or the way that the site works, and it's going to give us some options here. Now, the first thing that you're going to get here is you're going to create a project. And as anytime you're creating a ArcViz or any sort of a architectural design, the first thing you start off is with the blueprints. Now, the way that Coohom deals with this issue is by asking you how you would like to import your data. Now, you can import a CAD model, which is anything that you can export as a DWG or a DXF. You can import an image to try and automatically recreate your environment. You can draw it out, or you can search for a floor plan. Well, now, this search for a floor plan is an interesting option, although I think it's a gimmick, but still, let's go with it. Now, when you click on it, it's going to let you choose an address to pretty much anywhere. So I can write down, I don't know, let's try New York. Now, you can go and be very, very clear, like you can even try a street. So it's going to give you different floor plans around New York in this case. So I'm going to try to find one, and the only thing that I'm kind of angling to get is a blueprint or a floor plan which has some measurements on it. Now, in these ones I can't actually see, so I'm actually going to pause the video for a second until I find one, and I'll be right back. Alright, so I found a really clear or a very clean design for a floor plan, and I'm gonna go with this one. So once I have something I like, I'm just gonna click on the create button. Now this will take a few seconds, and as soon as the processing is done, we can see what we get automatically without having to do anything. And here we go. Alright, so we didn't do anything, we didn't change anything, and straight out of the box, this is what we get. Now, once we start moving this thing by holding down the middle mouse and just panning it around, you're going to see that the underlying blueprint disappears, and this is what's left. So this is created automatically. Now, this probably isn't 100% correct, so we're going to have to do some changes. But now, since we already have a starting point, it's really not that hard. So, now, here is how we change things. First of all, the user interface is very intuitive. So you can find pretty much anything you need by just clicking on it. For example, if we go over down here and let's zoom in, we can see that maybe these walls are not thick enough, or they need to be thinner or whatever. So just select the wall, and on the right side you have the thickness for the wall, and you have if this is going to be a non-load bearing or load bearing wall or a dwarf. So I'm going to stick with the non-load bearing. And now if I go ahead and increase the thickness, you're going to see this thing changes to update automatically. Now I'm going to leave this thing as it was for now. And let's see what else we can change. For example, in this room, I can move the walls around if I want to. For example, if I click on this wall, I can move it upwards and downwards. And you're going to notice that these points over here, they're like the end points. So you can move them around individually like this. And you can snap this thing and make sure that this thing goes in line with that. There we go. Let's just try and... oh yeah. Delete the middle part in between them, and now just put them on, one on top of the other. With this one, I can just remove the thickness until it gets to the same height. Again, I'm going to leave it like this for now. So if you want to spend a bit more time cleaning up your blueprint, that's good enough. If not, you can just leave it as it is. But also what you can do is, for example, if you don't like how this thing looks, you can just delete it if the size is not right. You can then go ahead and make another wall. Click on this side where it says wall structure and click from here to here, and that's gonna create that wall partition. So now it's just a straight line. Now, next thing you can add over here, you can see that we have a door. You can click on single door and come in here and just click. So now over here, I can control the thickness of this thing, and I can control the height and the length. But before I actually start changing any of that, what I need to do is I need to make sure that the actual size of this building is the correct size. So if I zoom in here, I'm going to see that this bedroom is supposed to be 12 feet and 11 inches. So in order to have that measurement go across here, what I'm going to do is go to image select or image settings, set scale, and now I get this ruler appearing. So I can move this thing around and put the left side over to that wall, put the right side over to this wall, and now I need to change this thing to 12 and 10. Now this thing only works with feet and inches. If there is an option about centimeters, I would love to see it. If you guys find it, leave it down in the comments. So just click enter, and that is going to rescale your entire project to scale. So now we actually have this thing at the right size. We can see that this is about 13 feet, and there we go. So now you can see each room, the size of it. So this thing is 150 feet square feet, and this thing also 41 square feet. Now back to this door. We place this door here, and here's the thing: when you click on it, you have the ability to start changing some of the things. Now, you can see that these blue lines, they're the anchor points. So they control how wide this door is going to be. So I'm going to put it like here. But if you see in our blueprint, the door opens on the inside, or it hinges on the inside. So if I want to have that thing hinge over there, I'm just going to click on this flip button, flip again, and there we go. So now it's flipped on the inside like this. All right. Now let's see what else we can change. Before I actually move on to any other room, I'm going to go back to this one. I can see that this is actually a patio. Now, if this is a patio, it means that this is probably supposed to be open on the sides, or this is supposed to be rails. But just so, because I want to show you some of the other options here, we're going to make this thing as a solar room, which is basically a room which has big windows. Now, to do that, what we're going to do is we're going to put in some windows. Now, we're going to click on the window, click here, and drag it all the way to the other side, to the column over here. There we go. Again, click on window, put another one over here, and pull it all the way down to here, like this. Alright, so we changed some of the things over here, and so far it only looks like a few lines, but this is where it gets interesting. Now, namely, you can actually see this thing in 3D as well. All you have to do is you scroll down over here where it says 3D, you click on it, and all of a sudden, now you have this thing in here. Now, since we added in some of these doors, prior to doing the scale, you can see that they are a bit floaty in the air. So we're going to have to go ahead, hold down Shift, or, yeah, well, that's not going to work then. So I'm going to have to select, click, select, and scroll it down. That's going to snap it down to the ground, because it would be kind of pointless having doors flying in midair. There we go. Okay, that one all the way down. And there we go. So we can see that automatically this thing created this space for us so that we can start placing stuff and slowly starting to build this space. Now here I can go in, and like we said, we want to have this thing be a open room with big windows. So I can increase the height for this window to go all the way across or through the whole thing. Do the same thing over here. Height. There we go. So now we have this room finished. So I'm going to go back to 2D. Let's see what else we can do here. Now for the kitchen, it's pretty much an open design, nothing in here. We have a door. Again, I'm going to just flip it around. There we go. So we have this automatically created. We didn't have to do anything for it. This thing, I'm going to have to do a bit of moving around, because the end point here is just standing in the empty. Go back to floor plan, just create over here like this. There we go. So now this is the closet, a single door here. There we go. Decrease the size. Like that. Flip it around. And we have this thing done. And again, this is the first time I'm seeing this blueprint. I've never seen it. So everything I'm doing right now is new for me, as it would be new for you guys. And as you can see, it's very intuitive. There isn't really that much to worry about. Just flip it to where you need it to be. And you're slowly but surely getting this thing to the right spec and the right look for this space. Now the way that you move in 3D is basically similar to 3ds Max. You press down on the scroll button and you can pan around. You hold down the Alt and left click will allow you to basically go ahead and rotate, and scrolling on the mouse will zoom in and zoom out. Alright, so the next thing that I would want to do for this room is I'm actually going to try to stick around with this room. I don't want to do the whole thing. And if we're going to want to do a render on this side, we actually need to cover this thing. And this is another window. So just click on Windows. Click one over here. And drag it across like this. Now this can be either a regular window. It can be bay windows, which are windows that are opening, and it can be even French windows. So let's delete this, and let's try with French windows. There we go, like this. In the 3D, let's just make sure we have okay. I think I just Control Z out of myself out of there. So again, French window. There we go. 3D. Increase the height. I want to get it all the way up to there. All right, cool. So we have a window which is going to let light into our room. All right, so next thing I would do is in here, I want to start putting in some furniture. Now, for the kitchen, I can see that we have some of the layout. The living room is pretty much empty, so we can go ahead and do whatever we want to. Now, how do we add furniture? Well, over here on the left side, you have the floor plan. Next, underneath it, you have the model library. Now, I have to say that I was pleasantly surprised as how many models they have available in here. And the great thing about here is that they are all divided into their own subcategories. For example, for the kitchen in here, we have kitchen. There we go. So when you click on it, you have storage, kitchen appliances. Let's hit with storage. And in here, you're going to see that they have a lot of different models that we can use. So let's try and find one that's actually similar to what we're seeing in here. I think that this is a really small kitchen. So I'm going to try to find something smaller like that. Maybe this. So just when you see something you like, click on it and drag it in. So in here. There we go. Now the great thing about this is that it actually does have anchor points like previously. So you can just move it down like this. You can also, if you decide you don't like that way that it's turned, just flip it around until it's somewhere that you actually like it. To maybe something like this. There we go. I'm actually gonna get it to about here, this size, and just gonna click enter. This is going to basically allow it to stay. Now, if I go into the 3D view, you're gonna notice that in here, I actually have a full-on kitchen ready and dropped in. So there we go. Now, the great thing about this is that once you actually have something selected, you have this material editor. So if you click on it, this will put you into the material editor for the models in here. And this is where this thing gets even more impressive. Now you have a lot of different things you can change in here. For example, if you scroll over here, these are the public libraries, and anything that you see over here can be changed. So as you see, when I click on this thing, if I want to have maybe, let's say, stone, let's see if there's anything interesting. Or, okay, maybe this one. Click and drag it on it. If that thing doesn't change it, click on over here. Well, now it's getting... Well, alright. This did not work. Let's try one more time. Alright, again, select, go to stone, select any of these, and there we go. This thing just changed the material that's applied on this thing. Now I can go back to water, or not water, but wood. So if I scroll down in here, try to find the wood material. Alright, there we go, wood. I can click over here, maybe try it out like this, and all of a sudden I have this thing done. So I click on done. This is going to get me back in here, and now everything I changed in there actually is propagated, and you have it into your model. Now the UVs might not be the perfect ones, but the great thing about this is that you can actually import your very own models, and all you have to do is make sure that they are in their native max file, so it will take it in as a max file. So let's get back to our main living room. And in here, let's just quickly put in some elements. So for the living room, I'm gonna go ahead, choose some furniture combinations, dining sets. As you can see, they even have them grouped up. So you can just go in here and try to find something that you actually like and it's been put together. So maybe something like this. Click and just drag it in. There we go. Let's try and find some more extra TV stands and sets. Pretty much anything that would go into a living room. Maybe this. Let's just move this thing over to here. Put this TV set. Well, it's a big one, so I'm gonna have to move some of these things around just so we can fit them around. And let's go and just get a sofa so we have something to sit around here. I know my layout is not optimal here, but we're just trying to get this thing to a place where it's actually renderable. All right, so I'm just gonna select one. Oh, this is way too big. Okay, something smaller then. All right, well, if we're gonna do this, might as well delete this. There we go. Okay, they keep getting bigger. All right, so once we have this, I'm just gonna rotate it around like this. Move it back to maybe something like this. And now go into the 3D. Let's check it out. All right, starting to look nice. Now, the other thing that I actually didn't mention is that once you have all of your floors selected, they're going to get divided by rooms. So each room is going to get its own tile, which in turn will allow you to basically go in, select your floor, and once you have your floor selected, you have this option to change it. So you have edit material, or you can click on replace. Now when you click on replace, it's going to replace it with a model library, but in this case I think we want to change the material for this thing. Let's just give it a second. And as soon as this thing opens up, we're gonna see what we can change for a floor. There we go. On the side, it's slowly opening it up. Oh, it's saving now. All right. And here we are. Now, this is the floor editor. Now, in here, we can actually change what sort of a floor we would like to have. For example, if I go ahead and click on this design, there we go. We can see we get this sort of a look. If we click on here, we get this sort of a look. Floorings. There we go. All right. You can actually do a lot of different things in here. So if you spend a bit of time just playing around with this, pretty sure you can find some interesting designs. So click on save, and this will get us back into our project. There we go. Now this should propagate and update our floor with our new choice, and we can see it right away over here. All right, so we saw how to change the size of the actual layout. We saw how to import some of the elements. We saw how to change the floor and how to change the size of everything that we've imported. Now let's take a look at the last thing, and that is how to render this thing. The rendering is not hard at all also. So all you have to do is now over here in these options, you need to click on the render button. Now this will put a camera down in your scene. Now you can move the camera just like you would move it and tilt it inside 3ds Max. Just hold down the middle mouse until you put it to a place where you would like to actually have your shot taken. Now once you have this, on the right side you have the properties bar. In here you can move this thing up and down, and you can just angle it to a place where you actually want to have this thing be. I'm going to move it back a bit more. something maybe like this. All right. So very simple, nothing complex. I have this thing set up. So how do I render this? Well, I have the first thing I need to choose is the resolution. I have the standard, the HD, and the 4K. But in order to do a 4K resolution, you need to upgrade to a premium account. So for this, I'm just gonna stick with the HD. Now here you have some ambient lights, or the lights that would be coming from the environment. So you can choose some presets over here. You have the natural daylight, you have the fresh, and underneath here you have the actual HDRI, or the environment that's being used. In this case, it's this skyscraper. Now, when you get over here in this blue field, you can actually rotate the background. So if there is something you don't like over there, you can flip it around until you get it to a place where you actually like it. You can increase or decrease the environment brightness, and this is not going to change the lighting, but it will actually change how it looks like in your render here. So once you have this thing all set up, and let's say we are happy with how this thing looks like, we can first of all we can hit on preview, and this will take a few seconds, and it will give us a very early on preview view on how this thing is going to look like, so we can see if we're happy with the result this is going to give us before we actually hit the render. And it looks like this so far, and I think I'm okay with this. I'm happy with how it looks, so I'm gonna close it and hit on render. Now once you click on render, it's gonna hit the saving thing, and it's going to be transferred over to the gallery. Now over here it's gonna start pending, and then it's gonna start rendering. Now the really impressive things here is that it takes about a minute depending on your scene, but it can be like 1 to maybe 1.5 minutes, and you get a full HD render out of this. Now granted, it's not the 100% photorealism, but there are a lot of projects and a lot of people working in ArcVis who need a fast turnout, and their quality is not the paramount. What they need is something to show their clients a very fast turnaround, and this might be it. So I'm just gonna wait for a second, and there we go. While I was just talking, this thing really sped up, and if I click on the image, this is what I ended up getting with just spending a few minutes and dragging in some of these models around. And these are all pre-mades. We can even put our own in here, and here we are. This is everything that we get by just using Coohom. So with that, we basically covered all the major features of Coohom. And if you like this, go ahead and check it out for yourself. It's a pretty cool and nifty tool to have in your toolbox. And if you have a client that needs something really fast and they don't really care about the quality, then this might be your time saver, and you don't have to spend a lot of times working and doing it in any other software. So again, hope you guys had fun and you managed to learn something new from this video. If you would like to support me, you can always click the join button, and the direct links will be in the description below. And the most helpful thing you can do is click the like and subscribe buttons and comment below in the videos. And as always, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you all in the next videos. Bye bye.